how much efforts were actually taken by academic and administrative staff of higher education institutions globally and not locally. I'm not speaking only on behalf of my country, Georgia, in order to timely tackle with forcibly changed policies and at the same time with change practicing and the reality is the new normal. This was actually our kind of beginning of the study. At the same time, assessment in distance learning situation, in our case in EFL classroom, and because our topic is related to integration of digitally assisted assessment system in EFL classroom, once again, it's more or less reveals the fact that this is a way students are assessed, definitely, and of course, assessment is one of the most, how to say, biggest headaches for students. They are sometimes more interested in getting grades than actually receiving knowledge. But still, today, distance instructors, we have been all challenged to ensure an appropriate feedback because it, of course, enables students to identify their strengths and weaknesses in academic performance. At the same time, quality feedback in distance learning mode can be implemented by addressing learners by name, maybe providing some immediate feedback during like a Zoom sessions, which is simultaneous, how to say, just online reality, at the same time giving specific feedback using positive tone, maybe some kind of emojis, and asking questions to promote thinking among our learners. And when we talk about the assessment system, like let's once again ask this question, what is e-assessment? According to the Joint Information System Committee, it is defined as an assessment as end-to-end electronic assessment procedure when ICT serves as a main tool for presenting assessment activities and at the same time for recording students' answers and responses. But of course, it's very important to highlight 4 principles of electronic assessment, e-assessment, we're calling it. So first of all, it should be authentic. This is very much important, being real. At the same time, it should be consistent and systematic and organized in order not to arise a kind of like question marks among learners, at the same time among like administration and of course for us instructors. At the same time, it should be of course transparent for us, for learners and for learners naturally. And of course, practicability. It should be practical and useful for both sides. This is very important. And when we talk about, just when we are somehow describing assessment types, especially e-assessment, of course, e-assessment, it's somehow like very much linked to engines. At the same time, it's of course a factor of item banked, so it's a kind of like one of the very much characteristic factor, because these assessment criteria, they should be database, and at the same time they should be electronically processed. But of course, when we talk about cycles of e-assessment, here we have to pay attention to 4 basic stages. Stage number 1, it's somehow related to motivation, but I would rather ascribe it to the last stage, but still then it is followed by stage number 2, which is divided into 2 groups: design stage and delivery. Stage number 3 includes 4 components: creation of e-assessment tools and testing, and where delivery is provided through data retrieval, processing, and feedback, which is in our digital feedback in our case, because we are talking again about e-assessment. And of course, evaluation of outcomes, this is also related to delivery stage. And the last and not least, of course, this is stage number 4, which is related to the feedback stage, process feedback, content feedback, and wider content feedback. So this is important. And now let's have a quick look at benefits of e-assessment versus challenges. First of all, from students' perspectives, there is much control. At the same time, it also offers friendly interfaces. At the same time, immediate feedback is guaranteed for students. And from teacher perspectives, it's time saving, of course, but of course, it depends on instructors. At the same time, it's can be perceived to be easy in terms of performance tracking, and direct feedback is guaranteed. And from institutional perspective, it's fast, accurate, and at the same time secure, and it minimizes, or like it's a tool for mitigating cheatings. And but as for challenges or like cons of the assessment, here we should not forget from students' viewpoints, this may not be always fair or lower performance students, misleading clues. Also, this can be a headache for students, yes. As for teachers, challenges, of course, are lack of experience, because during COVID-19 pandemic, especially not all teachers, especially in other disciplines, were so much actually adapted to assessment, or like because more in our world, this was more or less the experience reality. And of course, it can be difficult to assess group and project work during online assessment. And from institutional perspectives, of course, it's related with increased budget, of course, which and the provision of technical and technical. So technical infrastructure and internet and computer accessibility should be guaranteed from institutions. This is very important. I will be reading also chat, but later on, okay? And as for studies, we actually use the studies in order to develop our small research. The studies included, first of all, let me go beyond. These studies are by Winterwell, online discussions, portfolios by Betura and Dialogue Loop. Formative and summative feedbacks were also applied in our research, authentic and alternative assessment activities, and last and not least, peer grading techniques. So, and let's somehow together unpack types of assessment. First of all, these are e-discussions, e-portfolio, formative feedback, summative feedback, authentic assessment, and peer grading. So, and we see here, which is quite vividly illustrated on our slides that so there are procedures when to use it, why to use it. Some of them motivate students' interaction and how to use this. So unfortunately, I will not be spending too much time on reading out the slide, but I will be reading materials later on. So, and problem statement. Now, based on the above mentioned, we as global educators from Turkey, Georgia, and Kazakhstan decided to illustrate integration experience of digital assisted assessment while teaching English as a foreign language during COVID-19 pandemic. And with this purpose, our team actually, we developed a qualitative studies, small survey, and which aimed at identifying some kind of advantages and disadvantages of using digitally assisted assessment in EFL classroom. And let me give you shortly the questions we asked because it was like a not big scale survey, and this only 15 educators from Turkey, Georgia, and Kazakhstan were surveyed, and these are the following questions, if you see on the screen, but I will be repeating these questions. So 6 questions. How assessment has changed? Which digital tools were applied? At the same time, what are pros and what are cons, and how can digital assisted assessment be successfully integrated into EFL classroom? And as you see, majority of respondents are represented from Turkey, and because our colleagues, they were representing Turkish institutions, higher educations, and as you see, so age range of experience of teaching, also it's quite different, starting from 2 years until 42 years of teaching experience of EFL educators. And results of the web surveys, these are really important and really interesting for us. First of all, on the first question, which was, we received differentiate different answers. Some of institutions actually started to using digitally assisted assessment, but some of them maybe in a later stage. But of course, they answered that we are still assessing learning in the same way, some of which is quite, so I have to say controversial answer, but some of them, majority of them, yes, agreed that the assessment system has changed with COVID-19 pandemic. This is pandemic. This was one of the answers which was obtained. At the same time, On the next question, which digital tools were used for successful assessment? These are the tools which were actually mentioned by educators most. So online resources like Google Classroom, so Kahoot, so Turnitin, at the same time, Perculus system, and platforms which was individually applied by different institutions, Padlet, Gymboard, WebEx, Google Hangouts, Socrative. These are actually the platforms which were applied by different educators during COVID-19 reality. And on the questions, how digital tools help teachers to succeed in digital assisted assessment, we also received various answers. Some of them answered that they helped significantly, especially under the pandemic conditions. At the same time, thanks to Turnitin, one of the educators mentioned that plagiarism is measured. For example, I know that my institution is using plagiarism, especially for assessing academic papers, and it really proved to be quite successful. And of course, one of the educators mentioned that digital tools used for assessment are overrated in terms of their impact on the effectiveness of assessment. Some, of course, at the same time, it also allowed us to automatically, so immediately evaluate or assess our students. So as for the pros, advantages of digital assisted assessment in EFL classroom, also as you saw, we received different answers. Practice student oriented approach to English. It's time saving for teachers. It's accuracy based, unbiased, factor of objectivity, and fair assessment. Of course, it's an automated scoring. It's easier. It's of course it helps educators to succeed in formative assessment. It's fun, engaging, real-time grading. It saves time, etc. So as we see, there are lots of advantages. As for disadvantages, as we see, cheating increase in some cases, and it's quite normal. Finances and staff, maybe some of like admin staff representative was also questioned. Lack of ICT competence of some teachers. I think there is a misprint here. Technical problems, time consuming, big headache, no face-to-face interaction, no sense of kind of trust. These are the problems. The last questions, how digitally assisted assessment was successfully integrated. We received the following responses. That portfolio assessment is very suitable for digital environments, delivery of assessment in a number of ways. So it was via Socrative, Poll Everywhere, EFL Classroom. So it developed authenticity, and assessment can be done using authentic materials. Also, this was very interesting case. And after the pandemic, so it can be effectively integrated and maintained. This was one of the opinion which was so presented by our just colleagues. And as we see, and if we just generalize our results, we see that these are common tools, assessment tools, which were somehow used by colleagues of ours from Turkey, at the same time Georgia and Kazakhstan, Mentimeter, Google products, and these are some of the different maybe institution-based platforms which were used by our colleagues during online assessment. And not to actually so misuse others' time, and let me conclude. That current study enabled us to outline key factors which greatly, at the same time, impacted on integrating digitally assisted assessment in EFL classroom. Firstly, EFL teachers' professional commitment and perseverance in being lifelong learner is of paramount importance. At the same time, language instructors must remain actively engaged in exploring how students acquire digital skills via digitally assisted assessment. Secondly, institutional support for faculty teaching in an online learning environment requires attention. This was the second recommendation. And last and not least, teachers should be enhanced with digital tools and applications. And at the same time, we should not avoid the fact that digital assessment or it contributes to fair and objective evaluation, and of course helps us to clarify marking criteria. It promotes deeper learning. At the same time, it so facilitates learners to achieve desired goals, which is our, of course, so ultimate goal. And my advice and our joint tip would be to keep up using integrating digital assessment in FL classroom for better results after the pandemic. That was our short qualitative survey results. Thank you very much for your attention. If there are any questions or comments, but I will be reading in the chat. And if there are any questions, still, I think we can devote one minute. Any questions, any comments? If no, we can move to another presentation and presenter. Okay, let me stop sharing the screen then. I see there are no comments, okay? Just thanks. Professor Tinçay, any comment, any feedback from you?
Thank you, everything is clear, I think, but we can also take into consideration the security of online assessment, yes?
Yes.
As you say, they can cheat or some other students take the place of other.
Yes.
Okay. There's a case in Turkey now, one of the students claimed that I didn't have the exam, but I passed the course. It's crazy, yes?
Yes. So of course, yeah. Still, a lot of work has been done from, I'm sure, like from Turkish institutions, higher education institutions, and global institutions in order to ensure maximally fair and objective, but still students, we as all humans are very inclined to cheating and mistakes, but still when the system is just well developed, it minimizes the chances of cheating. This was our actually, not finding, but our opinion and just a viewpoint. So if there are no questions, no comments, as I say, okay, thank you, Ömer, for your contribution as well, because it was teamwork and within very, very short period of time from equal conference, it is like a 1 month, but of course we will continue some kind of further study on this topic. Thank you, Azra. So let's move to another presenter, Gonca Eksi, sorry for mispronouncing name, and Masam Patios Fabat. The topic is about reviewing students on language teachers' attitudes and perceptions toward integration of technology in education and language teaching. If the speakers are here, so you are allowed to share the screen, and please kindly keep in mind the time limit is 15 minutes, okay? I will be reminding you, but still, thank you. I will be muting myself.
Hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, please.
Okay, thank you for your presence. Thank you. My presentation is a review studies of on language teachers' attitudes and perceptions toward the integration of technology in education and language teaching. This is the content of my presentation. Well, for educational administrators, it's necessary to remember that all types of teachers have opportunities to strengthen the learning of students. For language teacher educators, it is also necessary to step beyond the dichotomy between native and non-native speakers and find ways to help various teachers with diverse requirements for professional development. An example of these developments is integrating technology into education and teacher competencies in using technology. There is evidence that indicates the major advantages of technology in language learning and teaching. These are specifically seen in
Mahsa, I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Yes, I wanted to.
We can't follow the slides because
slides are not so run. Please,
can you see my slides?
Just only
yes, I can see slide.
Only first.
The slide with introduction. This slide with introduction.
No. Mahsa, can you start the presentation? Otherwise, we just only see the content, the title page only.
Yeah, Masha, please start F5.
Please press F5. Yes, it's better for you.
Press F5.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but share it once again.
Can you
Yes, with a full
see
mode.
my
Yes.
page now?
Now, yes, but press this next to the percentage. This button, yes, next to the percentage. Good. Now we see.
Now,
Next
can
to the
you follow
percentage.
these slides? I mean, are they moving?
It's better
forward?
now. It's better now. Yes. Let's
Okay.
don't use time because we don't have time.
Masha,
Yeah.
full screen, please.
Actually, I did full screen. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Not full screen now, şu anda.
We still see the slides on the left.
Yes, yes, plus
Is
here.
it full screen now?
That's okay. I can follow you.
Okay. The major objective of this review is to analyze current researches related to attitudes of language teachers about technology integration in teaching language in terms of specific research topics, research methods, and research findings. In this study, the leading journals in the field of English as a second or foreign language teaching were considered. The journals indexed in either the Social Science Citation Index or the Emerging Science Citation Index. As a result of this decision, the scope of this review was comprised of the 5 leading journals, as you can see here, Computer Assisted Language Learning, or CALL, GECR Journal, System Language Learning and Technology, and RECALL. In order to confine and select the studies in a scientific way, some criteria were identified and limited to studies written in English and full text, studies that published in the journals in the field of technology and language learning and teaching, studies that were published between 2014 and 2020. The study context, studies were included if they measured in-service teachers' technology attitudes in a school, college, or university. Studies that were related to different kinds of technology use in English language teaching and education, like TPAC. After selecting journals and parameters, the selected journals were surveyed issues by issue by using related keywords. As the outcome of this procedure, studies were recognized and categorized and analyzed. The chosen studies according to journals and years of publication is shown in this table. In order to analyze the selected studies for the systematic review reported here, a review form was developed. Various forms used in current systematic reviews were analyzed for the general format in the design of the form. The form of analyze helps the researcher and review writer to have a better point of view about the valued related features of studies. In order to keep the reliability of the study, all of the information and analyses about the journal, author, aim of the studies, context of the research, researcher's method, and the form of the technology used in the study was examined by expert professors in this field. A content analysis method was carried out after the evaluation of each and every research using the review form. The studies selected for the purpose of this study were analyzed in terms of their study context, education context, and methodologies to track the recent tendency in ELT teachers' attitudes toward integration of technology in education and TPAC.
Excuse me for interrupting, but we can't follow your slides.
Can you see the results page?
No, we are all at the purpose of the study.
What's the problem?
Dear Masa, because of the fact that you should press to the bottom for slideshow next to the percentage. Do you see percentage button? Percentage, 83. Go there and just press this full mode, full screen mode. I think that Fatih has maybe some connection problems right now.
Yes.
Or you're presenting again.
Yes, I'm so sorry about this.
One
Can
more
you see
try,
the
one more
slides?
try, because it will be better for us to visualize your presentation.
Can you see my presentation now?
Yes, but please proud full screen
Yeah.
more. Yes, this one. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I
This
know. Yeah.
page, yeah.
But you have not pressed.
I pressed. I don't know what's the problem, but I just
Okay,
pressed
then
the
go please and
slideshow.
finish. Just go and summarize, because we have just 4 minutes.
Okay. The study contests in this study refer to the regions where these studies were conducted. Based on United Nations classification of major and regions, the classification of these study contexts were done. Themes related to the teachers' attitudes and perceptions and the kind of technologies were used. The first theme is teachers' attitudes and perceptions toward technology integration in education generally. A considerable number of studies were about this theme. As an example, Theo and Zhou found that Chinese EFL instructors had a generally favorable attitude about the use of technology in the classroom. In another study, Chinese language in service teachers' perceptions of technology and instructional use of technology, Liu examined the relationship between the teacher's instructional use of technology on one hand and on the other, their perceptions of three internal factors: technology's usefulness, its ease of use, and subjective norms, and one external factor as facilitating conditions. The results showed that these teachers' pedagogical use of technology could be predicted by two of the three internal factors: perceived usefulness and subjective norms, and by the external factor. The second theme is teachers' attitudes about professional growth and competency in technology integration in education. Studies categorized under this theme explored attitudes about competency in technology integration in education. Computer-assisted language learning teachers' professional growth through listen study practice was investigated in different contexts of teacher professional growth. Participants in these studies valued teaching practice and peer observation for enhancing their technological experts, technological pedagogical knowledge and understanding of technological faults, and confidence in teaching using technology according to the findings. The third theme is teachers' perceptions and attitudes regarding MALD or mobile assisted language learning integration in education. For instance, Swab and Sanchez, in a research about mobile technology in second language classrooms and insights into its uses, pedagogical implications, and teacher beliefs indicate that based on an analysis of the teacher's rationals, stated beliefs, and classroom actions show that the teachers tend to prohibit or reluctantly tolerate mobile device usage while they recognize some of its potential benefits to support their teaching and student learning. The other theme is relationship between TPAC and teachers' attitudes and perceptions toward integration of technology in education. Technological pedagogical content knowledge, or TPAC, conceptualizes effective teaching and learning using technology by integrating the teaching material and technology expertise of teachers through their pedagogical practice. In a quantitative survey research by Shui, the descriptive statistics showed that among TPAC variables, technological knowledge and technological pedagogical knowledge are more important than other for the teachers. In another study in Spain, according to a study about TPAC-based professional development on Web2 for Spanish teachers by Bustamante, qualitative findings indicated mainly positive learning experiences in the two areas, pedagogy and content, as well as in technology integration. The other theme is teachers' attitudes and perceptions regarding integration of technology in education, regarding the variety of frameworks, spoken dialect technology, ICT, flipped online exchange, virtual classrooms, and data-driven learning. Among the reviewed articles, a small number of studies investigated teachers' experiences with different varieties of frameworks like spoken dialect technology, ICT, flipped online exchange, virtual classroom, and data-driven learning. In these studies, researchers used survey methods and found out that over half of teachers generally believe that teaching English through the above-mentioned ways create a positive teaching environment for both the teachers and the students. For example, teachers perceive that the students in virtual classrooms learn at the same rate or faster than in traditional classroom. Another example is using spoken dialect technology for L2 speaking practice, which the findings showed that teachers had positive view of the SDSS task's potential for speaking practice and diagnostic purposes. As a conclusion, well, this review article is about in-service teachers' attitudes, and more studies and reviews can be done on pre-service teachers. More training can be scheduled in LTE programs about integrating different kinds of technological tools that can facilitate language teaching. In this way, teachers can be aware of different technology possibilities and they can learn how to integrate them into their language teaching classrooms. For this purpose, this kind of training should be supported by policymakers and facility providers. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, dear Masaf. Thank you very much for your interesting and just complex study and presentation. Unfortunately, we don't have time. You can write in the chat if there are any comments or questions. Maybe at the end we can find time. And let's move to the next presenter. But as I see, Shalini Atri is not present. Am I right? And if I'm right, we can move to another presenter, Parisa.
Yes, it is up to me.
Okay, yes, good. So you can share the screen, Parisa, and start presenting, and 15 minutes is yours at your disposal, and the screen as well.
Is it okay?
Yes, but make it again full screen, please, because we could not follow so Masa's slides again.
I think that it works now. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Now let's try it. Can you follow me? Can you see introduction page?
First page, yes.
No full screen, Parisa. No full
Not
screen.
full screen again. The problem of full screen again.
I made it full screen.
Press F5 or just move to this slide. I think.
Yeah, I pressed it.
Maybe technical team, you can guide.
Changing the slides now. Can you see it or no?
We can see the first slide, introduction.
Really? I'm pressing and just passing all these slides now.
I don't know, technical team.
Parisa,
Yes.
please stop share, then after restart share, please. Screen share.
Yeah, I stopped it.
Yes, please now start share now.
Again, okay. Yes, and now it is full screen. Does it work?
No.
Yeah, what's that full screen?
Again.
Just like me.
Again, on the first slide, I'm
Yes,
changing it
please.
now, one by one.
Please continue now, please.
Yes.
Can you see the slides, the next
Yes.
one? Yes?
Better, I think.
Better, yes. You can move manually. There is no way out, I guess.
Okay. This study investigated whether morphological awareness and topic familiarity have any impact on writing fluency and accuracy of Turkish EFL learners. Because there was no randomization in the sample selection, this research is classified as the quasi-experimental one. In these studies, participants were divided into two experimental groups: morphologically awareness, that was experimental group 1, and subject familiarity, that was experimental group 2. And the purpose of this study was to investigate how morphological awareness and subject familiarity affected the writing fluency and correctness, accuracy of Turkish intermediate EFL students. By the way, I'm changing the slides. Can you follow this slide?
Yes, yes.
Okay. As you see, we had 6 research questions in our study. And number 1 was, does morphological awareness affect the writing fluency of Turkish EFL students? Number 2, does morphological awareness affect the writing correctness or accuracy of Turkish EFL students? Number 3, does a familiar topic affect the writing fluency of Turkish EFL students? Number 4, does a familiar topic have an influence on the writing correctness or accuracy of Turkish EFL students? Number 5, is there a statistically significant difference in writing accuracy between participants in the morphological awareness and topic familiarity groups? And last one, is there any statistically significant difference in writing fluency between individuals in morphological awareness and topic familiarity? About the variables of this study, morphological awareness and topic familiarity were considered as the independent variables, and writing fluency, that was the number of clauses per minute, and accuracy, that was the percentage of error-free clauses in total number of clauses, as the dependent variables. And it was worth mentioning that gender was considered as a control variable. And about the participants in this study were 80 female intermediate Turkish students who were not chosen at random to take part in this study. An OPT, Oxford Placement Test, was used to select participants for the main phase of this research study, with the goal of homogenizing participants of this study. Outliers that were 10 students were excluded, and the remainder were divided into subject familiarity and morphological awareness group. In terms of number of participants in each group, 35 students were in the morphological awareness group, and 35 students were in the topic familiarity group, that was experimental group number 2. It was a quantitative research project. And also it's worth mentioning that both sets of the participants were trained and taught by the same instructor. Students were given lessons and treatments by the same instructor, and the participants varied in age from 18 to 25 years old. And the treatment for both groups lasted 14 sessions, with each session lasting 2 hours. About procedure, I talked about the participants, and yeah, for pre-test, when we applied pre-test for both groups, we applied a writing test. And the topic of their exam was, what was your favorite food and why? Both groups took the same exam. And after applying the treatment, we had post-test. For topic familiarity group, they received 2 post-tests. One of the test topic was similar to the topics that the learners wrote about in the treatment sessions, and was titled, write about the best gift you received and why it is so special to you. And the other was titled, how do you feel on autumn, which was a new topic for the participants. And also, let me to share the name of the books. Yeah, in the treatment sessions, 2 books were taught for morphological awareness. The book was Oxford Word Skills by Ross Grames. And for topic familiarity, the book was Writing in Paragraphs by Dorothy E. Zemank. About data analysis, for pretest data analysis, the pretest scores of the groups were compared to identify existence of any difference in accuracy and fluency of the participants in the groups before the treatment administration. And you can see the result here. And as you see, the groups had similar writing accuracy and fluency level prior to the treatment administration. To answer the first question, first research question, that is, does morphological awareness affect the writing fluency of Turkish EFL students? First, learners' mean scores were calculated for pre-test and post-test phase. You can see pre-test fluency for morphological awareness group and their post-test. Look at their mean here. And as you see, the mean difference between pre-test and post-test, that is 0.551 of this group, it revealed that students' writing fluency increased considerably as a consequence of treatment. And as you can see in this table, in fact, it was shown that acquiring morphological awareness on the part of the students might greatly improve their fluency. To answer second question, that is, does morphological awareness affect the writing accuracy of Turkish EFL students? Again, we compared their mean score. You can see here, as the table shows the mean scores for each group. The post-test mean score was greater than the pre-test mean score, indicating that the learner's writing accuracy had improved in this group, as you see. And also we used a Wilcoxon test to see how significant this difference is. And as you see, the difference in mean scores between the pre-test and post-test was determined to be statistically significant, that is minus 3.64. As a consequence, the Turkish EFL students' writing accuracy was influenced by their morphological knowledge. And to answer third question, does a familiar topic affect the writing fluency of Turkish EFL students? Again, for topic familiarity group, we can compare their mean score here from pre-test to post-test. As you can see here, the post-test mean score was higher than pre-test mean score, suggesting that even in this group, learners' writing fluency improved. And again, we used a Wilcoxon test to compare fluency from pre-test to post-test and how this difference is significant. The difference in mean score between the pre-test and post-test, as you see, is statistically significant here. So the Turkish EFL students' writing fluency was influenced by topic familiarity. To answer question number 4, does a familiar topic have an influence on writing correctness of Turkish EFL students? The post-test mean score was higher than the pre-test mean score, suggesting that, look at here, mean scores. As you see, the post-test mean score is higher than the pre-test mean score, suggesting that even in this group, learners' writing accuracy improved. Again, we used another Wilcoxon test to prove its significance difference. And as you see, the mean difference between pre-test and post-test scores is statistically significant here. So topic familiarity had an effect on writing accuracy of Turkish EFL students. And to answer question number 5, and to see is there a statistically significant difference in writing accuracy between the participants in the morphologically awareness and topic familiarity groups, As you remember, I said that the findings of the pretest analysis indicated that the groups performed similarly in terms of writing accuracy and fluency on pretest level. So the answer to answer the fifth research question, another Mann-Whitney test was used to evaluate their participants' post-test results on writing accuracy. Look here.
Could you please summarize, Parisa, if it's possible? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I tried to be fast.
Okay. For detailed, yes, it's a detailed study, that's fine.
Yes, and as you see, the Mann-Whitney test was used to determine whether or not the difference between the groups were significant, assuming that individuals in both groups performed equally on the pretest. And here, as you see, the p-value is 0.02, indicating that the difference was statistically significant. Comparing the mean results revealed that morphological awareness had a greater effect on learners' writing correctness. This was very important for me. Morphological awareness had greater effect on learners' writing accuracy. And to answer the last question, which is there any statistically significant difference in writing fluency between individuals in morphological awareness and topic familiarity groups? Once again, the Mann-Whitney test was utilized to examine the participants' post-test results, because we know about their pretest. And as you can see in this table, the morphological awareness group had higher mean, look here, than the familiar topic group. Thus, it is possible to hypothesize that one group outperformed the other one, as you see. Okay, so to determine the significance of differences between these groups, again, the Mann-Whitney test was used here. Okay, and as you can see, the p-value of 0 indicated that the difference was statistically significant here. So we can conclude that morphologically awareness has a beneficial effect on the students' writing fluency and accuracy. And the investigations discovered a positive impact of subject familiarity and participants' fluency, and a favorable effect on morphologically awareness and participants' fluency and accuracy. Additionally, the statistical analysis found that individuals generated more correct and fluent compositions while doing the familiar assignment. The result also emphasized the need of considering subject familiarity as a feature when developing syllabuses and materials, as well as the importance of considering these features when achieving accuracy and fluency in writing task output. Yes, that's it. Thank you for listening. If you have any question, please.
Thank you, Parisa. Unfortunately, we will not have time for questions, but we can receiving questions in the chat box, and you can respond to
of course.
Those interested. Thank you very much for your presentation. Next speaker will be Jalal Kochen Ahmed Erdost. Yastibash, if I'm mispronouncing, sorry. And I think that Ahmed is present and he will be representing, yes. And please share your screen, but let's hope that if we have the same problem, some of participants actually asked me, maybe I can not restart, but resume the session. What do you think? But let's hope that it will be, no, it's full screen, good. So there is no need to, yes. Okay, good luck.
Okay.
Ahmed, and 15 minutes is yours.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ahmet Aras Yastabash. I am an English language instructor at Gazi University, which is in Ankara, Turkey. Celal Turgut Koç and I have conducted a small-scale study on foreign language learners' attitudes toward hybrid foreign language teaching. And this is the content of my presentation. First, I will give you information about the introduction. I will explain methodology findings, and I will finish my presentation with discussion and conclusion part. As everybody knows, we are now still being affected. We have been affected by COVID-19 for almost 2 years. And the effects, when considering the first emergence of COVID-19, we can say that it has affected many many aspects of life, including education. And the effects of COVID-19 on education are suspension of the schools and universities for an unknown period of time, ending face-to-face education, and the sudden shift to online and distance education. And when we review the literature, we have seen that the existing literature on foreign language learners and online education during COVID-19 focuses on these areas: learner engagement, learner perceptions about online education, challenges learners encountered, improving language skills in online education, learner experience of using technological tools, learner interaction, and learner autonomous learning. Now, since the beginning of summer in Turkey, normalization procedures have been started, and these normalization procedures in education include reopening schools and universities, starting face-to-face education, and offering online educational solutions such as hybrid teaching, which is composed of face-to-face and online education. When we reviewed the literature, we have seen that there is a lack of studies related to foreign language education when post-COVID-19 era started. And the present study aimed to find out the attitudes of foreign language learners toward hybrid foreign language learning by answering the following research question: what are the attitudes of foreign language learners toward hybrid foreign language learning? We designed this study as a case study, and it was conducted with 10 foreign language learners. We used an open-ended questionnaire, which is composed of 2 questions to collect the data, and we content analyzed the data, the collected data. As you see, table 1 here presents the theme and codes related to face-to-face education, and our participants had positive attitudes toward face-to-face education because they believed that they found face-to-face education more efficient than online learning or distance learning, and they believed that they could learn and understand the topics in face-to-face education better. When it comes to their attitudes towards online and distance education, we found out that our participants' attitudes towards online and distance education were negative because of the following reasons. They found online and distance education inefficient. They stated that they did not learn and understand topics in online education. They could get distracted easily. They found online or distance education tiring, and because of the issues that was related to the learning management system, they said that they could not benefit from online education very well. When it comes to discussion and conclusion part, we have seen that the results have shown us that the students have positive attitudes toward face-to-face foreign language learning because of these reasons. They found face-to-face education more efficient, and they believed that they learned and understood the topics very well in online education. When it comes to face-to-face education, when it comes to online distance foreign language learning, we found out that our participants attitudes towards online and distance foreign language education were negative because of these reasons. To repeat, they found online and distance education inefficient compared to face-to-face education. They said that they could not learn or understand the topics in online education very well. They said that they got distracted easily. They found online and distance education very tiring, and because of the issues on the learning management system that was used in my school, they said that they could not benefit from the online education. And as a result, we can say that our students, our participants had negative attitudes toward hybrid foreign language learning due to their negative attitudes toward online education. In my institution, we used in my institution, we teach English, we teach foreign language, we have been teaching English, Arabic, French, and German to our students. And in all of these languages, we have been using foreign language learning, hybrid foreign language teaching. And it was composed of, in my level, I have teach 15 hours face-to-face and 5 hours online, and our participants had negative attitudes toward this type of foreign language learning. And when it comes to the practical pedagogical implications of our study, we suggest that foreign language learners should be trained about how to study and learn a foreign language in online and distance education, because we believe that most of our students' perceptions or opinions about online foreign language teaching, foreign language learning, may be the result of their lack of knowledge and training about this. And we also suggest that online distance foreign language education should be enhanced by taking into consideration foreign language learners' experiences and thoughts about it. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer your questions.
Okay. So thank you very much, dear Ahmed. I think so. You're very much. So stick to the time. If there are any questions, any comments, you can be asking. We have, I think, a couple of minutes. Let me check on my timer. If not, no, it was really very nice, interesting. I will be commenting for myself, and to study this like a hybrid learning modality. So, and I'm interested what kind of study or survey was it? Which scale did it just actually cover only the whole Turkey or your local area?
My local area.
Yes, nice.
One of our limitations of my study is the number of participants. We could only teach 10 students, and we could gather data from those students. So we cannot generalize the situation. We cannot generalize the findings of this present study to different contexts. But as I said, this study is one of the first studies that have been made in a post-COVID-19 era. In the post-COVID-19 era. And I think there is another question here. Do you use specific team analysis to categorize?
Yes, Azra has had a question. Thank you. Yeah. If you can read.
No,
have you used specific theme analysis to categorize dominant themes and code the themes? So this is a question from Azra. Thank you for your interesting question, Azra.
Actually, we did not use team analysis to analyze our data. Instead, we used content analysis, and we read the students' answers separately. We derived codes from our data, and then we came together with the other researcher, and we developed teams depending on the similarities and differences between our codes, so that we conducted, we made our content analysis like that. We did not use any specific tool, like how can I say? Like, yeah, there are some online tools that will help you to conduct content analysis, but we did not use any of these tools.
I see. Thank you, Azra. If you're happy with the answer, just I think so we can resume. So Ahmed's presentation. Thank you very much for your input and contribution. And let's move to the next speaker. It's a pleasure of mine, yes, to be meeting Ayşegül finally, virtually. Greeting to Istanbul, yes. And the topic of your presentation, I asked you to translate it in Turkish, but really to presenting in English, yes, I should.
Yeah, I am going to present it in English because when
great.
I was applying, it asked me the Turkish summary, so
worries.
I translated. So no worries, as an English
And you
teacher,
can
my
share
presentation,
the screen. Yes, no worries. You can share the
it's
screen. It's the effect of gamified, yes, flipped classroom. Again, the topics are very much related to this new mode of online just teaching reality. And please, floor is yours. We have 15 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, as a teacher, 15 minutes is never enough.
Yeah,
but
it's never
let's
the same
try.
problem because yes, we are too much talkative as teachers.
Yeah, we are talkative whenever
Less is more, but we never stick to this rule. But as I see, men are more punctual and organized. Male speakers from today's perspective in my session.
Thank you, Ahmet Hocam. You gave me some time, I think.
Yes.
So this is Ayşegül. I work for Bahçeşehir University. My PhD is on education technologies, and I give BA and MA courses at Bahçeşehir University now. I am an English teacher, but now I am giving, so I have some other hats now. And I am very interested in online collaborative learning and gamification, flipped learning. So last year, when I see the primary schools are online, I decided to convince one of my students to do this study. Because, gamified flipped learning and primary school context is very rare. And when I heard second grade students are having fully online course last year because of the COVID, I just used this chance. My aim in this study is just to understand the online gamified flipped learning environment and investigate and understand teacher perception, student perception. And as this is an EFL course, I just checked because we gave before the class, we supply learners some vocabulary exposition activities. So before the class, they were exposed to some new vocabulary, which are going to be covered inside of the lesson. So we try to reduce their cognitive load with the help of these pre-class activities. And it was in a private chain school, and we had 2 classes, and each class has 20 students. And after inside of the experiment, we have 2 teachers, and those teachers write their reflective journals. Each class, we analyzed 8 weeks. Study in 8 weeks, and 8 weeks they create some reflective journals. So they analyze the class, they share their experience about their teaching, their preparation time, or how they observe the learner. Are they different? Because we had experiment and control groups. And we have 48 participants. It was online because of the COVID. It was a fully online course. They were 7 and 8 years old, they are between. And we use gamified flipped learning context. So when we say gamified flipped concept, first we talk with the teachers. Two teachers were the participants, and also their parents and also learners. We discuss and we try to explain what is flipped learning, because parents, as it is in a private school, they might misunderstand us. So we explain that from now on, the understand and, in the past, understand and remember stage from the Bloom's taxonomy, they are generally given in classroom, and apply, analysis, evaluation part is at home. So in flipped learning, we try to give the vocabulary from before the class. In the class, they were going to fill the blanks or do some role play activities, some hands-on tasks in the class. So we explain this to the parents too. Your job will be less because of this flipping. The activities will be more for about remembering and understanding stage. So the hard part will be done in the class. So parents were generally happy in this process, in their orientation. And in the flipping stage, we use Edpuzzle in this study. What did we do? We create vocabulary flashcard kind of short videos, and then we ask some questions about the vocabulary. So there are vocabulary related short videos, and students answer them before the class. They are exposed to the theme. For example, if that week's theme is holidays, there was a video about holiday, and the vocabulary which is given, they are generally repeated inside of the video. And our context, gamified flipped learning context, I could explain in one slide like this. We had leaderboards because each week students answered some questions. So there are some winners, some losers, and there was progress bar according to the scores. They showed the students' progress. Students like to see their progress with the help of Edpuzzle progress bars. And if the students are successful in their answers, they got some badges. Teachers, or when the students didn't submit their assignments, teachers send them messages and ask the reason, try to take interest of the learners with the help of messages, because flipped learning and gamified flipped learning is a culture that they need to acquire, but this is not one-time thing. They need to learn the tradition. They need to build a culture together. So these are the basis, I can say, and yeah. And when we check the results, as it was only 8 weeks, maybe it is because of that, we couldn't find any difference between their vocabulary scores. But when we check the teacher reflective journals and student interviews, we asked some 10 students, they did interview. Students say they like that they have a control before the class. They like that they know what they are going to cover on the next day. And they say seeing the context, and they are not going to lose on any point. It is for just they need to be exposed to content before the class, so to reduce their cognitive load, so they don't lose any points. So their only aim is to learn. So we didn't threat them with grades in the environment, because gamified environment is generally support to students to try more one again. And what else? Some of the students, there were some challenges. We couldn't reach 3 of the students in 25. There were 25 participants. 3 of them didn't participate. One of them said they have poor internet, or one of them said they had some excuses for the weeks, but they didn't do, the 3 of them. And so the disadvantage of gamified flipped learning is there is a matter of preparation and trust. we need to trust our learners. We need to prepare a culture, and also teachers need to be prepared. Why? Because before the class, they were exposed to the vocabulary. So when the students couldn't answer some of the questions, the teacher is going to build the instruction accordingly. So some of the vocabulary is not rich. So in the class, inside of the class, they are going to practice those vocabulary more. So teacher needs to be ready more when it's compared with the traditional class. And before the class, they need to create some content. So teachers also says we had more responsibility when it is compared in the past, but we are more aware of our students' weaknesses and strengths, they say also at the same time. So it has both sides. At one side, they say, yeah, we see their weaknesses and strengths. On the other side, they say it's a bit tiring. So my suggestion, if you are planning to use gamified learning environment, work with your friends. It's not a one-man job, it's an orchestra. We need more people to come together and work on it. And when we look at the results, we couldn't find vocabulary scores. They were very similar. We couldn't find significant difference when we checked the t-test results. But then on the other hand, when we look at the results, we realize that both students and teachers say that students participate more when they are exposed to the vocabulary before the class. They are already aware of the vocabulary. They are already aware of the topic. Sometimes they even, for example, in the holiday topic, one of the students even brought a holiday photo for the class. He got some preparation before the class, so that was advantageous to see that. And then we look at, teachers considered getting ready before the lesson is important, and we need more class time. And also the results show that students, they are more self-confident, develop learning skills, more engagement in their learning environment. And that's all. I was so fast. Oh. So we can discuss.
We're very, not very fast, but it was very clear, very just comprehensive presentation. I should go, but it was really just, you're very stick to the time. Yes. If there are any questions, but I think there are some questions from Azra again.
Okay, let's see.
Yes. So she's asking questions about specific theme analysis.
Inside of the class, Azra, I use quizzes. I like quizzes. It is free and it has question library. So if you don't have enough questions, you can write the topic and find out some questions and copy it in your file. So it is advantageous to use, and it is like motivating, like Kahoot. So in the class, I use quizzes, but before the class, I use Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle is another free website that you can use YouTube videos. So you can choose a YouTube video which is about your, I don't know, in YouTube, when you check, there are tons of language learning videos. You can just check and find out something related to your topic and according to your syllabus and learning outcomes. And then you can build questions. So in Edpuzzle, you can ask open-ended, true, false, fill in the blanks, and multiple choice questions. And you can create a classroom. So students, if they assign to your classroom, they don't need to assign again and again. So if with one click, they can just use it. Edpuzzle is very easy because you don't need to be expert to create videos. Edpuzzle helps us to achieve that goal.
Thank you, Ayşegül, for really very interactive presentation, very useful, very practically valuable, because we, as in doing this digitalized just teaching this modality, we actually had to pick up these skills, creating interactive EFL teaching environment for our learners. Even before the pandemic, it was initiated in our community, and thanks to pandemic, it somehow boosted us and prompted us to be using more and more. And because gamification is something unavoidable topic, and especially in EFL classroom. Is there no more questions or comments?
I would like to add something.
Yes, please.
I just see the Azra's last line.
Yes.
She said, yeah, when you use quizzes as an individualized answering machine, student response system, it is disadvantages. I agree with you. I don't prefer to use in the classroom. I prefer to use in groups. So students, they come together, 2 or 3 people. So there is a peer learning environment too.
Yes.
So, you know, in flipped instruction, this is the goal. In the class, students need to collaborate, work together to find the question. Because if they answer the questions alone, after some time, some of them become winners and the others become losers. So to prevent this, my suggestion, if you are planning to use Kahoot, quizzes, Socrative, that kind of tools, make them group work. Yeah. Just I would like that.
Thank you very much, Ayşegül Hoca.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this very interactive and very interesting session, the Ayşegül, and presentation. I think if there are no comments and questions, we can move to another speaker. I think it's Didem Demirman, together with Meltem Huri Baturay professors, just tandem, and floor is yours. Dear Didem, nice to be meeting you virtually again. Yes. You can share the screen and let's check if it once again.
See?
No, yes, now we can see. Very good.
Changing?
Yes, changing.
Ah!
Run smooth.
Okay, so
nice.
Thank you very much for being here. It's a little bit late, but I wish it was face-to-face. But today we are talking about technology, so why not? We have a conference online. So what we try to look at this in the subject, I am interested in teacher education and teacher training for nearly 5 years. So this is my subject. It's a part of wider study, and it's EFL teacher self-concept evaluation. And we checked if there's a relationship with it, pedagogical content knowledge, and also some demographic values. So this is the overview of my presentation. So basically, I'll take a look at some reasons behind rationale. Why EFL teachers? Why are they special regarding self-concept evaluation? Language teachers are distinctive in terms of the nature of the subject, content of the teaching, and high energy teaching methodology. Teacher-learner relationships, these are making them very special. And in a long run in this profession, teachers may question sometimes, and maybe you ask some questions to yourselves as you listen to me. And maybe they question their own identity, language skills, level of self-perception could be lower. That's why I chose this subject and chose the people like this. And EFL teachers' better functioning depends really on self-concept evaluation, which is if preferable if it is positive. So, oops. In this study, we aim to make a correlation analysis of constructs, which are conducted in the foundation universities of EFL teachers. They answered some questions. I'll take a look at the scales later, and we will take a look at the self-concept evaluation, the relationship with pedagogical content knowledge and demographics, just age and gender. And here are the research questions we asked beforehand. And basically, I'll talk about very briefly the ideas, the concepts here. What is self-concept and what is self-concept evaluation? It's the totality of a complex, organized, and dynamic system of learned beliefs, attitudes, and opinions that each person holds to be true about his or her personal existence. And everybody has self-concept evaluation, and we are born with that. And in years, in ages, we have we have become more multifaceted, more complex, more dynamic, and it becomes more organized and sometimes fixed, unfortunately. And that's the aim. We try to change it. And they are hierarchically organized and less stable as you age. That's the question, really. That's the problem. And depending on certain contexts, we have certain self-schemata, but they are not active all at the same time. For example, think that you are in your classroom, in your teacher's room. So your self-concept are among all self-schemata, they are chosen. For example, if you are in your profession, so your professional self-concept is active. So what we call it, it's a working self-concept. So regarding the context, certain self-schemata are active. So what is very important is in the EFL context for teachers, professional self-concept is formed throughout your teaching career, and it is formed, it encompasses being knowledgeable, being confident in your profession of EFL, and it has, self-concept has a big role in personal development, and also it has reflections in your professional life. So what we come to, when we come to the pedagogical content knowledge, it's a little bit long, so I sometimes refer it to PCK. Michael Schulman has an idea. What is it? There is not enough terminology to combine teachers' knowledge, craft knowledge. So we have pedagogical knowledge, we have content knowledge, but thanks to him, there is a special amalgam of content and pedagogy that is uniquely the province of teachers, that their own special form of professional understanding is called pedagogical content knowledge. So underneath, there are lots of ideas, for example, your pedagogical general knowledge, for example, your knowledge of learners, curriculum knowledge, educational context, different contexts and purposes, classroom management, teaching principles, your assumptions regarding teaching English as a foreign language. So PCK is between subject matter knowledge and pedagogical content, pedagogical knowledge, like a combination of them. So when we reviewed the literature, yes, we have seen some studies focused on self-concept relationship, self-concept and pedagogical content knowledge relationship. So unfortunately, if you have a dysfunctioning self-concept, I mean, you have a negative view of yourself, let's say, there is a great impact on it, your pedagogical content knowledge and your functioning in the profession. And we don't want it. That's why we are talking about it right now. So what we do in the methodology part, I'll show it, the research design. I've chosen survey research design to collect more data in a short time. So my scales are called Teacher Self-Concept Evaluation Scale, which is based on Lille and Calvette's study. And the next one is Başar Kopçu and Özden's Pedagogical Content Knowledge Scale. Actually, it was originally a TPEC one. We taken the permission and crafted it in our own purpose. So who are the participants? We talked about this before, but these are foundation universities in Ankara. So overall, 93 EFL teachers joined voluntarily, and minimum, the average age is 35. And you see the distribution of male and female ones. Of course, we have more female teachers. So, as I mentioned before, these are the data collection instruments. The special thing about Teacher Self-Concept Evaluation Scale is it has subcomponents, which are very important. You will agree with me. Competence, interpersonal relations, satisfaction, risk and initiative, self-acceptance and relationship with students. And the Cronbach alpha coefficients are quite high of both scales. The predictable procedures we went through. So the rationale behind these statistics I performed here are demographic variables. We performed descriptive statistics. For the first research question, I worked on independent samples t-tests. For the age, which is not normally distributed, we preferred Spearman row non-parametric correlation analysis. And the last one, a multiple linear regression analysis, was performed. So you see here the normality distribution. So the first one, the effect of demographic variables, if there is an effect of demographic variables on EFL teacher self-concept and pedagogical content knowledge. Yes, we can talk about that. There wasn't a significant difference in terms of gender and of these variables. Gender didn't influence their self-concept evaluation and pedagogical content knowledge based on this data. What about the relationship of age with EFL teacher self-concept evaluation and pedagogical content knowledge? This time, yes, there was a significant positive and medium level of relationship between age and PCK. No significant relationship was found between age and self-concept evaluation. Age can only be associated with pedagogical content knowledge. What about self-concept evaluation's prediction of teachers' PCK? Yes, again, we found positive impact of self-concept evaluation of pedagogical content knowledge. However, I talked about that there are 6 sub-factors. Which one is more effective? In this slide, we see that competence, satisfaction, and self-acceptance are the most influential subcomponents of self-concept evaluation on pedagogical content knowledge, significant one. And other 3 factors didn't yield, unfortunately, any significant impact. So I had some previous assumptions. That's why we went through this study, and previous studies also helped me to have an assumption like this. There's an association between positive self-evaluation about one's own teaching and higher self-respect and more confidence in teaching, the related content here, EFL. So why those results are like this, and what about the literature? And for the first demographic variables, to talk about demographic variables, there is an, how can I say, irrelated result based on the literature. Why I thought that? I previously conducted an action research in the same institutions, and it was about self-talk, for example. I am good at teaching. This is a positive self-talk example. So we see that women are not talking positively to themselves. Maybe the women participants here can question themselves. Are you talking to yourselves positively? And male participants of this study answered more positively in this scale. That's why I asked this question. I thought that, yes, there is a gender point in the self-concept evaluations, but in this study, I couldn't get the anticipated result. What about the relationship between self-concept evaluation and pedagogical content knowledge? And yes, based on the previous studies, consistently, I reached the similar results, as we talked about it before. Teachers' self-reports have a significant relationship with their content knowledge and pedagogical content knowledge. The last one is really a good summary of my study, I think. So what I suggest, if you are also interested in teacher education and teacher training, you will agree with me, in the departments of English language teaching or foreign language teaching, there is a missing part. So I strongly suggest that put some lessons or put some practices like this. The pre-service teachers and also in-service teachers need to learn, this should be learned, to view themselves, their self-images positively. So these departments should work on this because there is a long-term relationship with positive self-evaluation and well-being, teacher well-being, subjective well-being and also professional well-being. That's why we will prevent early possibilities of fixed mindsets. Unfortunately, I work with teachers who have fixed mindsets. They don't want to change their way of teaching, attitude, assumptions, anything. These are all coming from the previous experiences of teachers, their self-images. They are scared, too much scared. And in the long run, we are seeing burnout and retention, unfortunately. Yes, a healthy view of self for EFL teachers is not optional, it is compulsory. So as a result, I can summarize that, yes, if you want to flourish in this job, in this profession, in the teaching of teaching English as a foreign language, take care of yourself, take a close look at your own self talks. How do you talk to yourself? How do you evaluate yourself? Because it has a strong relationship with your pedagogical content knowledge, perceived one. You can always criticize yourself if you don't have a positive self-evaluation. And thanks for being here at that time. And these are our corresponding emails. I am the corresponding person. Thank you, my dear mentor and supervisor, Meltem Nuri Baturay. And if you have some questions, I'm ready to listen to.
Thank you very much, dear Didem. It was really very nice. Not only very just great, timely presentation, I think, for EFL education, and not only. And if I may just comment on this, that during COVID-19 pandemic, we, more than other professionals, like not less than doctors, healthcare workers, we actually got and still are under burning out, even when we are returning to the old normal. And somehow we are losing, I myself, when I'm presenting during like just big events and online, due to this burning out and like, so we are somehow like, there is a problem of losing our self-concept and like, and I was consulting even my like a friend psychologist, and she told me that you are so much tired due to the burning out, so you are not able to reasonably and rationally evaluate and assess yourself. And that's because we are really just attending too much event, and we are devoting too much of our time, and I think it somehow calmed me down. Otherwise, I was after each session, after each even great talk, I was not actually evaluating myself, and I somehow rely on others. And I think we have to keep this balance between our work life, even work life. Yes, I think it's like, again, ascribed to the COVID-19 pandemic, and that we females are too much maybe devoted.
We females, yeah. This is my observation. Unfortunately, I couldn't prove it in the scientific data, but I will prove someday.
But I agree with you, because I wasn't actually in the good sense of evaluating, assessing my talks and my presentations, and it was stressful for me. But now it was very nice for me to find out that we are the same on the same wavelengths.
There is a follow-up session of this presentation, which is teacher well-being suggestions.
Yeah, I with Professor Dr. Meltem, so I really just would
we will talk about
hearing more about the presentation.
Please, we need, all teachers need that. Thank you very much. Lovely comments, Tamari.
Is there any talk, any questions, any comments? I see. Yes, they are agreeing. Azra, thank you, blissful to have listened. It was really just very nice presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Didem, yeah, because you all actually, so we were all in this together.
Yes.
So if there are no comments, I think, yeah, thank you. Very comprehensive study, and at the same time, very applicable to us all.
Thank you very much.
I think the next speaker, according to the program, is Uğur Turkayna, but I don't think that he's present, and Rukiye Güçlü. She's present, and the last one will be Tuba Kizilkan. I think that now Rukiye.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, if you're here, you can so share the screen. Yes, you can also. It's up to you to switch on camera. Nice to see you. Thank you. And you have 15 minutes for presenting before last presenter. Okay, floor is yours, dear Rukiye. You can share the screen.
Can you see my screen right now?
Yes, but not full mode. Please just press on the full mode, please. Now it's perfect.
Right now, full screen?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I am Rukiye, an MA student from İnönü University. Unfortunately, my Gülten Hocam is not here right now due to the last minute change. So I will present. My topic is investigating the achievement attribution and use of self-regulated learning strategies among secondary school EFL learners. First, I will start with individual differences in second language learning. To a certain extent, individual differences influence English as a second language learners' success in language learning. We can describe individual differences, distinguishing characteristic of learners. Individual differences are characteristic or traits that refer to which individuals may be shown to differ from each other or concern anything that mark as a person as a distinct and unique human being. Individual differences are believed to be very important from practical point of view because individual differences have been found to be most consistent predictors of second language learning success. And what are the individual differences? We can say ability, aptitude, anxiety, creativity, language learning strategies, learner beliefs, learning styles, motivation, personality, self-esteem, willingness to communicate, self-regulation, and attribution are all individual differences and have been discussed from different perspectives and disciplines for long years. Self-regulation refers to the degree to which individuals are active participants in their own learning. As such, it is a more dynamic concept than learning strategy, as it highlights the learner's own strategic effort to manage their own achievements through specific beliefs and processes. So we can say self-regulation, a capacity of control one's thoughts, feelings, and behavior in achieving to one's goal. And what is self-regulated learning is an active process in which learners adjust their learning process. And self-regulated learning consists of implementing skills about self-concepts such as awareness, motivation, behavior, and select distinct features for each learning task. So self-regulated learners set specific and achievable goals, adjust time efficiently, self-evaluates on learning process, identifies casual attributions, and readjust learning process. And self-regulated learners an active agent of their learning. So the learners profoundly analyze the learning process. And we can see Pinterest identifies 4 areas for self-regulated learning: cognition, motivation, behavior, and context. And according to this, he developed a model. This self-regulation model, there are 4 phases. The forethought phase includes planning. The monitoring phase, learners monitors the learning process. The management includes the uses of regulation and control strategies. The reflection phase, the learner evaluates himself or herself, and in here we will see attributions. An attribution refers to constructions imposed by perceivers to account for the relation between an action and outcome. Attribution theory deals with the reasons that individuals attribute to their perceived success in situations where achievement is considered. If, for example, we ascribe past failure in particular task low ability on our part, the chances are that we will not try the activity ever again. Whereas if we believe that the problem lay in our insufficient effort or the unsuitable learning strategies that we had employed, we are more likely to give it another try. Attribution theories assume that individuals seek to understand why events have occurred. Learners attribute their success and failure on evaluation stage of self-regulation. Attributions refer to meaningful explanations about learners' success and failure. Attribution comprises 3-stage processes: perception or observation of the behavior, thinking that it was an intentionally performed behavior, and determining a forcefully performed behavior. And 4 principal causes influencing attribution for perceived success and failure in life we determined as ability, effort, task difficulty, and luck. And we have three dimensions. Locus of causality refers to internal or external reasons. Stability refers to whether cause changes by time or not. Controllability is about the control the cause. And in here we see ability is an internal, stable, uncontrollable. Effort, internal, unstable, controllable. Task difficulty, external, stable, uncontrollable. And luck, external, unstable, uncontrollable attribution. Although self-regulation and attributions have been researched in different fields of education, it has not been focused on language researchers and educators dealing with English as a foreign language in Turkey. So the purpose of this study is to find out students' self-regulation learning strategies and attributions to success and failure. This study further aimed to explore the relationship between student self-regulation strategies and attribution to success and failure. To do this, answers to the following research questions were sought. First, what are the self-regulated learning strategies employed by Turkish EFL learners at secondary school? What reasons do the Turkish EFL learners attribute to their success and failure in their EFL learning process? Is there a relationship between the self-regulation strategies and achievement attribution of English language learners at secondary school? Participants at secondary school in Batman, we have 232 students, and their age range from the 10 to 15. If we use two questionnaires, first one is self-regulation learning strategy scales. The scale includes 29 items and 8 sub-dimensions. These are planning, effort regulation, motivation regulation, attention focusing, additional resources, summary strategy, highlighting strategy, and self-instruction. And the second one is achievement attribution questionnaire. There are 2 parts. Sorry, 11 items for success and 12 items for failures, with 23 items in total. We use descriptive of students' opinion about the program. Sorry. One-way ANOVA and Pearson correlation analysis.
Take your time, no problem, Rukia.
Okay. And now results and discussion part. As you can see, we see right now sub-dimensions of self-regulation. The first one is attention sub-dimension, the highest score. Then motivation, highlighting, self-instruction, planning, resource, summary, and the lowest one is effort. Finding of the study indicated that attention focusing was the mostly used self-regulation strategy, while effort regulation was the last one. Students prefer quiet places for studying. These are the items for attention focusing. Students prefer quiet places for studying, try to remove distracting things while studying, put only the necessary resources on desk, turn off the TV while studying, and adjust study place before starting to study. Students, we can say students prefer avoiding things which are related to their studying negatively. And attention gives students awareness of learning, and students start to learn with this awareness. With attention, students take necessary precautions for studying environment. So it can be inferred that attention makes our learning more effective. The result of mean values for effort regulation is the lowest. students tend to give up when they encounter a problem. The results demonstrate that students are not good at managing a study time and taking decisions while studying. And when we look at the grades, we found motivation is meaningful. Difference is motivate. We have a, sorry. The result of the study showed that only motivation is meaningful between groups, and this result comes from fifth graders. Students take the high school entrance exam, so maybe it's make a negative attitude for students. And when students' grades are increased, their attitudes to English may change due to this exam. And also, while grade of students increase, they change their English belief to negative. Moreover, if students' grades increase, their usage of self-regulation decreases. So fifth graders change the results. And here we see the success, our success, achievement attribution for success. So participants mostly attribute their success to their love for their English teachers. According to the participant, listening to the teachers carefully during the class is also necessary to be successful. In addition to this, doing homework regularly, making preparations for English lessons before classes, and teachers' love to students are considered to be very important to be successful in English. And getting help from outside is the lowest score, and students see themselves unlucky for English exam, and this is the second lowest our score. As it seems, participants mostly attribute their success to internal, unstable, and controllable causes. In other words, participants see themselves responsible for their success, and they think they can control they can control their success. And these are for the failure attributions. And participants mostly attribute their failure to noisy classroom environment. They do not think their teachers do not care about them. And also they are afraid of making mistakes. As it seems, participants mostly attribute their failure to external, stable, and uncontrollable causes. In order to find out whether there is a significant difference between the students' attribution to success and their attribution to failure in English, a paired sample t-test was carried out. As you can see, they have more positive attribution for success compared to failure. And the p-value indicates the difference is a significant one. And in here we have for internal and external achievement. They attribute their success to internal achievement, but however, they attribute their failure to external achievement attributions. And also they attribute their success to stable achievement, and also they attribute their failure to stable achievement, the same result we can see. They think that their success, they attribute their success to uncontrollable achievement attributions, and it is the same result with failure. And correlation between achievement and achievement attribution, success, and self-regulation. We didn't find any meaningful result for success, but we found a meaningful difference between planning and failure. So the study showed that casual attributions have a low effect on self-regulation. Also, there is a negative correlation between failure and planning. In other words,
time is off, but you can summarize. Yes.
Okay.
Conclude.
In other words, why one of them increases, the other one decreases, and the conclusion part, last part. Attention focusing is important on self-regulation for students. Students attributed their success to internal, but their failure to external. We found a low-level relationship between self-regulation and attribution, And lastly, students have instrumental motivation. So students should be informed about the importance of English for their future life. And that's all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear Rukia, for very interesting comprehensive study presentation. If there are any questions or comments, you can be asking in the chat because the time was used by presenter. And please, let's move to the, I think, last presenter for the days. Dr. Tuba Kizilkan, floor is yours. Dear Tuba, nice to meet you virtually.
Nice to meet you too, Ms. Dalizi.
Floor is yours. You can share the screen and please mind the time. It's 15 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So I'll be sharing my screen now. Is my voice clear, and also is my screen seen clearly?
Voice is clear, crystal clear. And as for the screen, yes, I think yes. Now it's perfect.
Thank you for your assistance. Okay. Yeah, so the title, the topic of my presentation is Mind Mapping as a Teaching Tool for Digital Natives. So let me introduce myself first. I'm Tuba Kızılkan from Izmir, and I'm a graduate of English Language and Literature from Ege University. And I worked as a professional English teacher for almost 21 years and had a chance to work with almost all age groups and levels from 7 years old up to adults. And I recently work in a secondary and high school and very much familiar with the digital natives, actually. And I have classes for specific reasons, for professionals, speaking classes, and English for academics as well. And I'm also an instructor of mind mapping and memory techniques. And having recently completed a master of English language teaching from Ahmet Yesevi University, I've been doing some academic research on several subjects. And I've been using my mind mapping in my classes while teaching grammar, vocabulary, and other skills involved in language teaching, actually. And this presentation explains who are the digital natives and what are their characteristics and why mind mapping works so well for them, including my personal experiences. So let me start. Okay, here is a mind map I created. Sorry. Yeah. And what is a digital native? And let me start by explaining what is a digital native. A digital native is a person who is very familiar with digital technology, computers, etc., because they have grown up with them. The first generation to be a part of the digital native group, millennials, were born broadly between the years of 1980 and 2000. Young people currently part of Generation Z were born after the year 2000. And this generation, even more so than millennials, have spent more time in their life, in their real life, in the digital world. And they feel comfortable in expressing themselves in much better way through using internet and social media, and tend to perceive things and real world through gamification. That means they prefer games to serious work, actually. And what is a hypertext? Hypertext is a text which is not constrained to be linear. And it is a text which contains links to other texts. This term was coined by Ted Nelson around 1965. And hypermedia is a term used for hypertext, which is not constrained to a text. It can include graphics and video and sound, which attracts the digital natives a lot, actually. And the digital natives have hypertext minds, which mean that they like to learn and comprehend things with these instruments. And they're not tolerant of spending much time reaching information or anything else. So they're so quick in everything they do, and they require efficient results. The study of 4,066 full-time Generation Z, which is the age of 22 or younger, and the millennial, actually these terms are involved in the digital natives. And the millennial, 23-year to 34-year-olds, we call them millennial, employees in 10 countries, including the United States and the United Kingdom, China, and India as well, found that about 4 in 10 respondents prefer working in a corporate office and they prefer in-person communication, cover digital alternatives such as email, social networking, and video conferencing. And they also like to learn and share digitally externalized environments. Sorry, I'm sorry. And let me explain who Prinsky is. Actually, he's an internationally acclaimed speaker and education consultant known as a practical visionary and coiner of terms, the digital native and digital immigrants, which is actually the theme of our Congress. Mark has authored 7 books and spoken in over 4 countries, and he has published over 100 articles and essays and publications, including Educational Leadership, Educaus, Edutopia, and Educational Technology. And his writings have been translated into 11 different languages. Mark's 2010 book, Teaching Digital Natives, is a bestseller among educators around the world. And his more recent books include From Digital Natives to Digital Wisdom, which was published in 2012, and The World Needs a New Curriculum, which was published in 2015, and Education to Better Their Worlds, Unleashing the Power of 21st Century Kids, which was published by Teaching College Press in 2016. And he says, grow up with new technology. They have spent their entire lives surrounded by and using computers, video games, digital music players, video cams, cell phones, and all other tools and toys of the digital ages. Computer games, email, the internet, cell phone, and instant messaging are integral parts of their lives, as indicated by Prinsky in 201. Yes, and then what is a mind map and who is Tony Buzan? Tony Buzan is a world-renowned inventor of mind maps and a multi-million copy best-selling author of How to Mind Map and Mind Maps for Kids series. He appears, actually he died 2 years ago, and he appeared regularly on television and lectures all over the world. He advised international businesses, governments, educational authorities, and Olympic athletes. His work has been published in 100 countries and 30 languages. So what is a mind map? A mind map is an easy way to brainstorm thoughts organically without worrying about order and structure. It allows you to visually structure ideas to help with analysis and recall. A mind map is a diagram for representing tasks, words, and concepts or items linked to and arranged around a central concept or subject using a nonlinear graphical layout that allows the user to build an intuitive framework around a central concept. And a mind map can turn a long list of monotonous information into a colorful, memorable, and highly organized diagram that works in line with your brain's natural way of doing things. And here is a list of jobs and workplaces, which is a subject that we teach in secondary school. And here is a dull, linear list of jobs and their explanations, and no images and no drawings and nothing attractive for a digital native. Instead of presenting any information within the curriculum, here is a mind map I have created on jobs and workplaces, which attracts all digital natives. Because a mind map involves whole brain process. That means it involves both left and right brain and all types of learning. So this mind map involves the main branches and the baby branches, involving the jobs and the explanations, and as well as images that attracts digital natives. And according to my very personal experience, digital learners prefer learning with mind maps. Actually, I have never met any students of mine that do not like learning through mind maps, and they have already started noting down through mind maps in any other school subjects. Actually, they have a linear approach to information, and they learn through catchy keywords and highlighted main points, and they prefer to learn in a fun way, which is untraditional. And they memorize better when they personalize information. And a mind map actually gives a way for a digital native to personalize the information, because he or she can add any images and text and videos and can create his or her own images. And actually he can use his or her own keywords. There is not a template for this, but an own one. And mind maps involve the whole brain process, as it includes both left and right brain features, as I mentioned before. And all digital natives like brainstorming and creativity. And as mind maps are time savers, the digital natives tend to learn maximum information with minimum effort and time. So learning through a mind map is perfect for any digital native learner. Okay. And to conclude, I try to use my time very practically. So in conclusion, the digital learners prefer processing pictures, sounds, color, and video before text, and conversely, many educators prefer to provide text before pictures and sounds and colors and video, as Dukes and Dizage indicated in 2005. In a mind map, the digital natives can visualize ideas, and they can add creative videos and use colors and pictures as well. And a mind map is a creative and logical means of note-taking and note-making also, that literally maps out our ideas, as Tony Buzan mentioned in 2005. And digital natives do not like traditional ways of note-taking, which is linear, but prefer a creative way, which is mind mapping. And today's digital natives prefer interactive media, as the previous presenters mentioned before. And therefore, a number of interactive mind mapping tools emerged in order to fulfill the digital natives' preferences. For example, iMindMap, the one I've been using, Buzan's mind map, Vision, the version 4, and my map manager and my master, MindNote, FreeMind, and there are tens of more. Actually, some of them are free and some of them need to be paid. And digital natives expect to use more digital media devices in their daily lives, which enables them to integrate various applications such as PowerPoint slides, video clips, Excel spreadsheets, websites, three-dimensional illustrations, and colorful images and icons. And mind mapping appears one of the most efficient tools for a digital native to learn with fun and collaborate, brainstorm, sort information. And it's also a preeminent tool as it involves both left and right brain and appeals visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learners. And this is the end of my presentation. And thank you for your patience. And any questions are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Tuba. I think it was really, really great presentation with visuals, with mind mapping and guiding us as you actually guide your learners, I'm sure, because this is really great tool for engaging them and for getting the best out of our learners and to combine all learner styles. That's why thank you very much for your good tips, and because showing the variety of tools of mind mappings, which I did not know all of them. Thank you very much. I think there was one question from Azra, and if I can present this question, can we use infographics as the theme of mind maps for creative group activities? Thank you, Azra, for your great question. And Tuba, if you can answer our just participant. If you can give some kind of advice.
Absolutely. Any kind of visuals can be used for creative group activities. It works individually, and also it works for the group activities, the collaborative activities. So I agree with you, Ezra. You can absolutely perfectly use infographics the same way mind maps are used. Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much. So, any other questions, any other comments? I think there are no other comments and questions, and only applause and only like so satisfaction with it was I think logical climax conclusion of our session. Today is very long day, starting with plenary sessions and the topic of digital native, topic of digital trust, and which has more than ever became a topic of great crucial and importance to all of us due to the emergency digitalization in EFL, especially in all areas of education, but especially in EFL education. Thank you, dear Tuba. It was really nice to be listening, yes, to be somehow commenting and all speakers. And thank you for great contributions. I think you were, I think I'm not mistaken. Mistaken, you are the last speaker, but not least, definitely. And if there are no comments, I think we can be closing the session. And again, I am really thankful to those who actually stayed to the end and supported all our speakers with your comments, with your listening, and which really matters, because without audience, without this feedback, there is it's not effective communication. So it should be double-sided. So I think we can be closing our session if there are any comments from organizers, but I'm not mistaken, there is no one to be presenting, yes, from the audience, no one. Please give me some feedback, some sign, okay? So I think that we can be closing, and thank you very much once again, and let's stay in touch with EFL educators, and let's stay digitally connected, and let's try to somehow do our best in order to become, I myself was writing in the chat that I'm digital, not native immigrant, but due to the pandemic, we had to somehow adapt and get new skills and meet our learners' needs, because they are definitely digitally natives. So if there are no comments, Tuba, so I will be saying goodbye from Georgia. It's already 9 o'clock. And so I think we had a very successful session, and thank you very much. Hope to be seeing you in person one day and continue this fruitful discussion in face-to-face modality. Have a nice evening. Greeting to Turkey, to various parts of Turkey. I think mostly participants from neighboring country were here. Have a nice evening. Bye for now, and see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Have a nice evening.
Have a nice evening too. Okay. I think good.